Firstly, thank you for making an effort to come and see us this morning. I'm slightly hoarse. It's from singing in a bar last night. So if you were there and you enjoyed the party, well done, and thank you for making it here this morning. My name's Iain Mobberley. I am from OCSL. One thing I can say that you might be pleased about this morning, that's the only slide you will see. So no PowerPoint this morning. And as you can see, I have some friends with me on stage, and they are friends, so thank you. I'll just run through and introduce you. So we have Alexis Cheshire, who is the CIO from the Scouts organisation in the UK. Chris Gesell from Worldwide, who's in charge of strategy for the channel, a new role for Chris. Yep. And Xavier Poisson, who is in charge, Vice President for Hybrid IT in EMEA. And the plan this morning is to try and have a discussion about the impact of cloud on an organisation. That organisation is the Scouts. And I think everybody understands the motto, at least in the UK, be prepared. And we'll see how well prepared we are this morning, to be fair, because this has got a recipe to be very, very successful, hopefully. So, Alexis, good morning.
Good morning.
Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about yourself and about your role in the Scouts and what the Scouts is, actually.
Okay, and so the Scout Association is the UK's largest mixed youth organisation. So every week we deliver life-changing adventure to 400,000 young members, and we cover a range from 6 right the way through up to 25. That's delivered through a network of 130,000 adult volunteers. But we are, in essence, a federated charity. There are 8,000 registered independent charities that all operate, and my role as the CIO is to bring about the transformation of the headquarters function in terms of the way that we support and allow our volunteers to actually deliver the impact and the experience for our young members across the country.
Okay, so how many people do you support?
So directly we deliver services to 130,000 adults and indirectly to 400,000 young members, and then indirectly to all of the parents. So that totals up to around about 800,000 individuals.
So let's just remember, 800,000 people that your organisation touches in some way. So here's a question: how many IT staff do you have in your organisation?
Full-time employees, we have 5. We do bolster that 5. With a number of contractors on projects. But okay. You can imagine, we're a charity, we don't have the scale of resources that a traditional commercial organisation would have.
Okay. So cloud should be your nirvana. Should be.
It should enable us to deliver to the scale that we're looking for.
Okay, so in the context of what we're talking about this morning around HPE Helium Cloud and your organisation, a charitable organisation with huge reach, okay, lots of things to consider, yep. Data, a good experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's sort of top of mind for you? What keeps you awake at night?
I think the biggest challenge for us is that we do hold and maintain some fairly large levels of fairly sensitive personal information. So every year we process around about 100,000 Criminal Records Bureau checks and disclosures. We need to maintain the information around all of our young members. Some of that includes their medical information about what they need to do when they're going on camps, what other information needs to be taken. And part of the challenge has always been, in order to operate at scale and to really leverage what the cloud can provide to us, it's about how do we go on that journey from the traditional on-premise model into this new hybrid world. And I think for me, this is really one of the biggest questions is, how do we get the right mix? What is that blend of private versus public? And how do we actually start to take ourselves on that journey of transformation?
I guess that's the key point. You mentioned the right mix. It was something that Meg talked to on the general session on the first day. And obviously HPE Enterprise made some fairly key announcements a week or so ago around the Microsoft stack. Where are you on your journey around cloud, actually? Let's just get a sort of a baseline for what you've done at this point.
So at the moment, we've been very much on a building the foundations piece. So when I joined, I've only been with the organisation for about 12 months now. And we are, if anybody in the audience is part of the organisation, they'll be aware that there's been some challenging projects that I've walked into. So first thing has been about stabilisation. Let's get the foundations right. Make sure actually we've got our arms around the things that we need to protect and stabilise. And in parallel to that, we've been doing a lot of discovery work about actually how do we now start to plan and prepare what the foundations for the future need to look like.
Okay.
We're starting to challenge what are the services actually that we are going to offer our organisation, because I think in the past we've been very HQ-centric, whereas actually the power of the association is actually in the volunteer movement. They're the ones that actually deliver the change, deliver the experience. And for me, it's the volunteer workforce that actually, they're the ones that are doing scouting. It should be my job and the organisation's job to actually sit underneath, support and catalyse the movement to actually grow at the scale that they need to.
So things like rich content, digital, all of those sort of things that everybody's been talking about all week, they play into everything that you have to provide to your users.
And I think the thing to remember is scouting happens out of business hours. And it's held outside, outdoors, in scout huts. It's about outdoor adventure. So therefore, by default, it is mobile. Now, we're not always going to have network coverage. We haven't always got these wonderful broadband connections everywhere we're going to be. When you're stuck at the top of a mountain, you may get a GPS signal, but you won't necessarily have 3 or 4G. So we need to provide ways to support our leaders in delivering those experiences in ways that are non-intrusive. You know, digital and technology for me should augment scouting, not replace it.
That's pretty challenging, actually, from what you've said. So you've been here all week.
Yep.
You've been to a few sessions, I know.
Indeed.
You've enjoyed yourself.
I have.
From when you came here at the beginning of the week to where you are now, what's your reflection on what HP Enterprise are talking about, what you've seen in the transformation areas, and what do you take back, I guess?
I think for me the strong piece is actually that hybrid is more than just a suite of technologies. It's about an ecosystem of partners and providers and technologies, and finding the right complementary ways to join these things up. I think hearing about the relationship with Microsoft is a very interesting opportunity, because I'm very keen around open standards, open systems, trying to avoid the traditional lock-ins, and I think it's been a great experience for me. I've met lots of good people, I've had some great challenging conversations and arguments about the different directions, the different learning experiences that people have had. And I think for me, the really important piece is about getting the right partners in place, because, as I say, we're a small organisation with a very small footprint. We can't expect to deliver everything that our customers and our beneficiaries demand. They've got exceedingly high expectations, as everybody has, around with the consumerisation of technology. And so we need to find the right type of partner, the agile partners that are already transformed themselves to enable us to transform. Because the last thing we need to get into is a place where our pace of innovation is hampered by the pace and the capability of our partners. So for me, another thing is actually how do we find the right partner to help us find the right mix and then implement that for us.
Okay, so I've heard innovation. I've picked up on things like security and concerns around that, and we're not really even talking about technology, we're talking about the impact of cloud on an organisation like yours, and we've also understand the rewards that it could bring.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring Xavier in here for a minute to talk to us about some of the things that HP Enterprise have been doing over the last 18 months, I think, in the background, across the European region, which it perhaps help understand and may placate some of the concerns that you have. So Xavier, perhaps you could start with, let's touch on your favourite subject. Let's touch on Cloud 28 to start with. Let's just understand what that means.
I can touch base on Cloud 28 Plus as a gift for you, and it is a gift for you. And I will comment more on that, but really I want to come back to Alex and to the Scott motion and to the journey he has. I believe that if you look at the transformation area and the first one, which is transforming to this hybrid IT, we need to plan the journey with our customers and our partners And what I'm very, very happy with is that exactly what you have done together. You, OCSL, as being a trusted partner of HP, engaging on the journey for a long time, having your people learning with us how we can accompany organizations to move to hybrid, and the dialogue you had together.
Yeah.
This is the essence of designing the cloud journey and the transformation, and the good dialogue between a system integrator that you have and the needs that you have transforming your journey. So this is one point. The second point is how you power that. Once you have designed the journey, how you power that. And here, many, many ways to do it. Of course, data privacy is a hot topic for everything you do because you are dealing with information, with young people, with a lot of things that are very, very precise in the UK, as it is in the other countries. And you need to find solutions when, of course, you can invent for the Generation Z, perhaps, or Z+, I don't know. But at the same time, be very precise on how you are going to handle your information. And of course, perhaps for traditional IT that you are running for your accountants or I don't know what, you can have it on premise or being hosted by him within OCSL. But for some other ones, you need to take care about how you are going to put this into a cloud story. Because the people you are dealing with are people on mobility. There are people on social media. There are people using these new technologies. And yes, it comes to the point of Cloud 28+ naturally. What is it about? It's about a federation of energies, and you know that very well, Iain.
I do.
Putting the people together, like the spirit of the Scout.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it belongs to nobody, it belongs to everybody, and we have the faith to deliver it. So what I like in what we do with the Scouts today is that we work on the journey, and really we use the power of many to make it happening. The power of HP, technology providers, go-to-market enabler, and the power of OCSL, a trusted partner of HP in the cloud journey, and to build the right path for your success. Now, Cloud 28+ is putting the ecosystem in place, but it is also allowing to develop applications. Why? Because within the ecosystem, you have service providers, you have cloud builders, and you have software vendors. And guess what? I would love that at one point of time, the apps of Scouts are designed by the Scouts themselves.
Absolutely.
You know, at HP, what we believe with open source, the beauty of it, it is accessible to quite everybody because it is simple. Developing application in cloud-native model, using OpenStack, using development platforms is absolutely easy to do. So one of the things I put on the table for Scouts, designing, dreaming of the next journey for the venture are twofold. I do believe that you can invent new apps for the Scout community, not only for the UK, perhaps for other countries. And with the energy that both of you have, you can make it happen. My promise is, as soon as an app is created, we will put it on Cloud 28+ catalog, joining the 680 available today applications, cloud services that can be accessible and operated throughout EMEA, and why not tomorrow outside. Now, another proposal I put on the table to move the needle. Your people, the people you are working with, are passionate about education.
Absolutely.
Today at HP, for the OpenStack world, we have created a university. A university for the students, a university even for the people who are 14, 15, in order that they can take OpenStack. We are very happy to engage with you.
Excellent.
Why? Because the way the Scout activities are moving, you will think about that.
Yeah.
How I can create new content for this new generation coming. How these people can create themselves the content that will be used by other peers. And I believe there is a formidable opportunity there. And the commitment of HP, and we can elaborate more on that, working with OCSL, working with our partners, is really to create this new motion, to invent there.
Yeah.
And it's not only building IT, you know that.
Yeah.
It's about building the content that will be used in order that internally you can develop your information system, but more importantly, they have to get the Scout motion evolved to new contents created by the Scouts themselves. Exactly. And on that, we are partnering for you when you want.
Oh.
Awesome. Thank you.
Now, here's the thing. If anybody knows anything about the Scouts, the scouts, especially when you're younger, you work for badges. Are they on their arm or wherever you go and do a competency and you get a badge? We could have a HPE badge for the scouting movement.
Cloud 28 plus, and I'll fund it if you do it.
Oh, so
He has funded, so that's done.
There's witnesses there, brilliant.
Next one. Good.
I guess, so from my perspective, the world and the cadence is changing really, really quickly. You know, the demands that our young people put on us, as whether it's an IT provider or as an organization, we set the bar really high for those guys. Got boys, girls, young adults, and the leaders themselves. And we've mentioned it already, partnering. Now, I guess, Chris, I come to you just to start with, how do you help me? I'm a Hewlett-Packard Enterprise partner. How do you help me move our organization?
Sure.
That's really important.
You know, partners are absolutely critical to the success of HPE. Over 70% of our revenue today comes through our partners. So it is the lifeblood of how we go to market. And from a strategy perspective, you know, we really think are focused on two dimensions. One is keeping our partners loyal and happy with HP, making it easy to do business, removing the friction, and two, making sure that we maintain a vibrant, healthy channel with our partners, right? And there's, as we all know, disruption occurring in the market. For our partners, we think it's amplified because you're really getting a two-sided disruption. On the supply side, you see consolidation of large vendors, companies like ourselves are going through transformations, and then you have it on your end user side as well. So we understand that what's occurring, and big part of our strategy is to help our clients work through the evolution of their business models as the market's evolving, right? And we talk a lot about the notion of transformation, but hybrid IT was an evolution. We ended here, right? It wasn't a destination that all of our clients and all the vendors set out to get everyone to. It's what it evolved to, right? And I think you made a great point, Alexis, about how it takes an ecosystem, because as we evolved here, there are still componentries and pieces of everything that existed before that you need an ecosystem to deliver against this evolution to where we're at. I look forward to the day when it's no longer called hybrid IT or hybrid cloud and it's just called IT or cloud again, because it is the model. So we're putting a lot of investment in doing joint business planning with our important partners about what are the new types of programs, services, training, and products that we need to take down to our partners to succeed in this hybrid world. So vibrant, healthy channel, the only way to do that is to support our partners in their evolution in the marketplace and providing all the tools and the technologies to be successful.
I think just for the audience to understand, it's really important for, when I look at our organization, we're having to change with the world, as everybody is. And you feel that we're at this inflection point. You know, I have the customer on this one side, I have the large vendors like Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, like Microsoft and others, changing, and we're in the middle and we're having to bring all that in, kind of translate it and push it out to Alexis so it's something that they can consume and understand and be valuable to them. But I've got our teams and stuff like that going at 100 miles an hour as well. And there's no time to pause for breath, I guess, is
yeah,
really
I mean, if you measure cycles of evolution, right, there were, hundreds of thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, right? Evolution now is the time spacing is collapsing. But evolution always occurs, right? So either you evolve or you perish. And so that's how we think of it, and you need to move at speed, market speed, and your client speed to do that. So, and we appreciate the challenge that you have with that. You're living in this two-sided disruption. And what our focus is on the channel side is to make that as painless as we can for you. I know sometimes we succeed famously, and there's obviously areas and opportunities for improvement, which we'll continue to focus on.
Okay, so let's just change it up a little bit here. So one of the key announcements that Meg sort of brought to the audience on the first day, she had a conversation with Satya Nadella, okay? I'm sure this hasn't gone unnoticed that Hewlett-Packard Enterprise have signed an agreement with Microsoft around Azure. So Alexis, for you, what does that mean? The construct of that, we've been working together, just so everybody understands, for about the last 12 months, doing a lot of stabilization, a lot of strategy, driving towards, say, Helion as a product, because it's a product, but actually it's a set of products. And then suddenly, out of left field, comes this big announcement. We're going to do this with Microsoft as well.
I think actually it helps us a lot because we have been looking quite a lot around some of the Microsoft tooling and some of the platforms and the software layers that can support the back office operations. And obviously there's a big drive when you're selecting Microsoft products that they will become cloud delivered rather than on-prem solutions. And so actually to see that now there's a stronger partnership between the Helion world and the Azure world actually means we've now got a bit more control and sort of comfort in the direction of travel. I think there was always a desire in the early initial part of the conversations around whether we would migrate into the Helion public cloud as part of that hybrid journey. But obviously with the sunsetting of that now, that changes our direction of travel. And I think for me, having that strength of being able to bring together the best of Microsoft and Hewlett-Packard and having OCSL sort of facilitate the conversations between those two large partners for us as a small organisation actually can bring incredible value.
I think it's really important. So I'm going to come to you next because I know you're really passionate. We've worked together for a while around everything that is HP Helion, but just to illustrate and to ask, how do we take that Azure journey now and what HP Enterprise have? I know how we bring it together, but what does it mean to you in reference to sort of what Alexis is saying there?
Yeah, I will be, as always, very direct.
Yeah, good.
Cloud is the son of internet. Internet is freedom and belongs to nobody. Mm-hmm. It will be the same for cloud. The customer needs to have the choice, and you are the one to bring the right answer to the customer.
Yep.
Today, very, very simply, we have different ways to provide cloud services. It may be on-premise with a private cloud. It will be a combination of on-premise and off-premise. What is very instrumental is to have the right service catalog.
Yeah.
Once you are able to design your catalog of cloud services, which is independent of any kind of delivery model, Azure, Amazon, private cloud, this is the way to do because it is free. And freedom, once more, is the key there. So, designing the right cloud service catalog will be the first step in order to really elaborate the strategy for the company. And now, according to the workloads, according to the security problems, the availability problems, the capability to develop quickly or less quickly applications, you will use a private cloud or a public cloud. And if you speak about the public cloud, you may use sometimes Microsoft public cloud, you may use your hosted private cloud, you may use different technologies. The topic is the commitment of HP with Microsoft is to provide to our customers when it is legitimate to go with a Microsoft Azure stack, the best of breed all around the chain. Mm-hmm. Through cloud services automation, we can really orchestrate everything. And bringing Azure in is absolutely possible. And we'll have a seamless integration through the service catalog for the workloads that goes to Azure to go to Azure. And what we do on top of that, we ensure you, in your job of system integrator, that the hardware stack are fully balanced with that. So as a nutshell, I believe it's all blessing. We continue to give the choice. And we re-ensure on our customers and you that if you go with a solution running on Microsoft, you will have from HP the commitment end-to-end from the build to the consume. This is where I see the value for you.
It's a multi-cloud world, hands down. It will be, and either you as a company or a provider choose to participate that and enable our clients to use multiple clouds when fit for purpose for their applications, or you don't. we think it's by far the wiser strategy to meet the needs of our clients and enable that multi-cloud world, because there's no putting that genie back in the bottle.
It's very true, actually. So we're almost at that point where we've got a pick and mix of cloud technologies. And it's not to downplay that, but actually the reality of all of this is that it should be about choice, but the reality of that is it's about the application and the interaction between the user.
Exactly.
Right.
And it should almost be transparent to where that sits on the platform. What we of course need to do is make sure in Alexis's role, and this is the same in the Scouts or in any organization, that you have some control, some governance around where your workloads are residing. Because if you think about the data, the sensitive data of young children in this illustration, where do we want that to be? And we want that to be in a place where, you know, from a safe harbour perspective, certainly around the EU, we know where we can point at that and we know that we're protected. And that's really, really important to understand. I would say to you, it's not easy. And I mean, I think a good partner, and I'm going to sell our praises just for a second, a good partner like us will make it look easy, I hope, to our customers. And on our stand, which is on 290, and it's not a pitch for the stand, you can actually go and look at this stuff working. Now we have things like cloud service automation, provisioning to public Azure. We have it provisioning to private Helium clouds in our data center. We have it provisioning to private Azure instances in our data center. So there's really true choice being driven by that service catalog at the very top level. I think that's the important piece here, because we quite often miss, if we're not careful, we get carried away with the technology and we miss the point that actually we've got to have some demonstrable benefit for the end user.
Yeah.
In your scenario,
I think the biggest challenge for me is, I think the technology is now getting mature enough to enable us to put things where we want. But some of the challenge still comes around with actually, well, how do we make the decisions about where it should go? And as an organisation, and in other organisations, it's about understanding actually, well, you know, what questions should we be asking ourselves? Actually, well, what happens when this data needs to transit public cloud, or this application is underpinned across two components that sit here and part there? And that's really part of the challenge, is actually how do we as an organisation mature in our governance processes and our operational processes to ensure actually we don't by accident push things into the wrong place. Yeah. With great power comes great responsibility. So it's easy to push things wherever we want at the flick of a switch, but we need to make sure that we don't.
I think that's a really good point. With great cloud comes great responsibility. So just to wrap up then, Chris, if you're going to leave us with one thought that we can take away from today around cloud partnering, around where HPE are going, what would you like us to
Yeah, so you're going to see for us in 2016 a focus in on the evolution, a focus in on shooting bullets before we shoot cannonballs. We want to go out, we want to do some pilots, we want to create some new innovative commercial models. We want to go hand in hand with our partners and navigate this evolution together. And hopefully you'll see some exciting things around how we will have an ecosystem of partners going out to attack this new model of IT that it's evolved to in hybrid. And some excitements around some starting small and then growing big. So that's another big thing. We want to, when we became HPE, right, we became more focused and nimbler, fail fast, and move on. So you'll see a lot of stuff around piloting, which I think is exciting as being part of HP, that we're going to be doing that now.
Yeah, it's interesting actually. HP Enterprise, I know you're still a 50+ billion company, have suddenly got a level of agility that we haven't seen for a while.
Right.
Okay, so and for you, Xavier, looking forward into 2016, what do you think you want us to understand? If there's one thing, is it the service catalog?
You know what? I think of Alexis. What I want we do in 16 with the Scouts is a hackathon for the Scouts.
A hackathon for the
And
Scouts.
this is what I would like we do.
Yep.
Together to continue the machine, to continue the engine, in order that you feel at ease, not only to build your information system, but to bring your people to understand what they can create for the Scouts, by the Scouts.
Brilliant.
And this will be something I would like to engage.
Wonderful, thank you.
Tugging at the heartstrings, if ever I can say it. So It just remains for me to say thank you very much for everybody, for you, the audience, but for our guest speakers this morning, dragging you up here on the Thursday, second shift. And I think it's been a great session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.